Cheese from Beyazeta Learning, and today I'm going to be telling you guys all about fractions, like everything, adding them, subtracting them, mixed numbers, improper fractions, multiplying them, dividing, comparing, ordering, like all of them. So first we're going to start with the base of fractions. So I'm going to just choose a color, and I think I'll just go with, I don't know at all, midnight blue. So now we're gonna read my little note over here. Fractions are a part of a whole number. So when I say a part, it can mean more or less. So this fraction over here, 2/5, has a numerator and a denominator like every other fraction. So this is the numerator, and this is the denominator. So the denominator over here tells you how many pieces to divide that certain object or whatever you're dividing into. So I'll just draw a circle because I'm representing this. I'm just going to draw an arrow and draw a fair circle. I hope it's okay. So I'll have to divide it into 5 pieces because that's what the denominator tells me to do. Okay, pretend these are equal pieces. I'm actually going to draw everything again. So whenever you're doing fractions, everything has to be equal, completely equal when you're working with fractions. Because when you're comparing and ordering them, they have to be equal in order to figure out the answer. So I'm going to divide into 5 because that's what the denominator tells us again. Okay, I'm going to do that again. So divide into thirds, fourths, fifths. So pretend these are equal, and this is what the denominator tells us to do. So now we have to do what the numerator tells us to do. The numerator is how many pieces we're focusing on. So in this case, it's 2, so I'm going to just shade in 2 to represent that's what we're focusing on. So this fraction represents 2/5 because we are talking about 2 out of 5 pieces. Let me choose a different color. 2 out of 5 pieces. So we also can realize that this is a fraction that is less than 1. Less than 1, or you can write 2/5 is less than 1. Just write that in parentheses. So now that's all you need to know about the fractions basics, but this is less than 1. So I'm going to do fraction examples of equal to 1 and more than 1. So I'm going to use the same denominator and do equal to 1. And for that, I'll do 5 over 5. So 5 over 5 is equal to 1, or 5 over 5 is equal to 1. So now how you're going to represent this is that you have to follow the same rules. Denominator tells you how many pieces to divide it into. And remember, I'm trying to make these circles for the 2/5 and 5/5 the same because, again, they have to be equal. So now we're going to divide it into 5. Pretend that these two circles are identical and that these are perfectly equal pieces, even though they're not identical and they're not perfectly equal. And now 5 is for the numerator is telling us how many pieces we're focusing on. So I'm just going to shade in 5 to represent the pieces that we're focusing on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now this equals 1 whole, and this is less than 1 whole because this whole, I'm going to choose a different color to represent this. So choose this because this whole this whole circle is one whole. But we're only talking about this specific portion. And because it's not completely the whole, that's why it's less than 1, because the circle, pizza, cookie, whatever it is equal to 1. And because we're talking about something that's less, it's less than 1. Okay, so now same thing over here. This is the one whole. I'm gonna erase that. This is the one whole, and we're talking about all of that. So this is also one whole. So that's why it's equal to 1. I'm going to change my color back. So now that we got equal to 1 and less than 1, all that we need now is more than 1. So I'm going to use the same denominator and do the example 7/5. And you will see that this is exactly what I did in my other videos about fractions. I divided the whole fractions into 3 parts, which is adding and subtracting them in the first part, multiplying and dividing them in the second part with mixed numbers and improper fractions, and the last part was comparing and ordering them. In this video, I did all of them, but if you want to see the other ones part by part, then I'll leave those links in the description below. So we'll get back to this, and this is the denominator. Again, we're going to divide it into 5 pieces. I'm trying to make an equal circle, divide it into 5 thirds, 4, 5. So now we have to fill in 7 of them because that's what the numerator tells us to do, because we're focusing on 7 out of those 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we still need to fill out 7, which means they have 2 left, 2/5 left. And what we have to do is that you've heard these other math problems where or you might have had these problems in real life. So I'm going to say an example. If you're going on a field trip, okay, and each bus can hold 18 students, and you have 20 students, not 20, let's say you have 23 students. So where will the other 5 students go? You can't just leave them there and take the other people to the field trip. You have to get another bus so that those students can also get on and go. So that's exactly what we're going to do over here. We're going to draw another bus, pizza, cookie, circle, whatever you want. We have the same number of seats, but we only need to fill in the certain 5. In this case, 2. So this is 7/5, and this is more than 1, or when I write it again in parentheses, 7/5 is more than 1 because, again, this is what this fraction represents, and I'm going to choose that other color. And this, again, is one whole. And because it goes on to this part, and this part is more than one whole, that's why this is more than one whole. So I hope this makes sense, and if it doesn't, I'm going to make sure you guys know that you can always leave your questions in the comments below, and we'll just get going to adding fractions. So adding fractions are really simple. So first I'm going to choose a color. I think I'll go with this purple. So adding fractions. So our first equation is 2 over 3 plus 10 over 12. So this is adding fractions is really simple. So our first step is to see. So our first step, if we had a common denominator, which means the denominators were the same, is to just add straight away. But in my case, the denominators are not the same. So you have to find a common denominator between 3 and 12. So you might realize immediately, as soon as you see it, that 3 times 4 equals 12. So that's all you need to do, because you don't have to change this 12 at all. You only have to change the 3. So now we're going to make 2/3 into a fraction with the denominator with 12 as 12. So we're going to multiply it by 4, and not only the denominator but the numerator too, because whatever happens to the bottom must happen to the top, and vice versa. So 8/12 is our answer. So now our equation is 8/12 plus 10/12, and it's pretty obvious of what our answer is going to be over here, because it's 18/12. And you might realize that again, that this answer or fraction is more than 1, because our numerator is greater than our denominator. And you cannot answer, give this in as your answer, unless the directions specifically say so. But in my case, I'm going to make this into a mixed number. And I'm going to explain later in the video what a mixed number is, but I'll tell you guys how to turn it into a mixed number. So you have to do a bit of dividing. So I'm going to write the answer right over here, and you have to do a little bit of dividing, like I said. So 18 divided by 12. So I know on the top of my mind it's 1 remainder 6, but I'm going to do the work. 12 minus 6 remainder. So now the denominator always stays the same, and the 1 is the whole number. This is the whole number, this is a denominator, so I'm going to write that. And this is our numerator. So you might also realize, or you may not realize, that 1/6/12 is equal. So you might just realize that 6/12 is equal to 1/2. Because if I draw a circle here for 6/12 and a circle here for 1/2, pretend they're equal 1/2. So I'm going to divide this into 12ths. Pretend those are equal. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now I have to cover in 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's perfectly half of this. And if I cover it in 1/2, it's perfectly half. Or, because the circle might seem like a little uneven, I'll draw these bars. They can represent chocolate bars or whatever, but they have to be the same size. Not by width. I mean, not like this way. They have to be the same, but this way they don't. So now I'm going to divide this into 12. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now this into 1/2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1/2. So you might realize now, even more clearer, that this is both equivalent. So that's why we can turn this into 1 and 1/2. And what we just did right now, turning this into this, is called simplifying it. And simplifying a fraction is by reducing a fraction to its lowest terms. So our final answer for this equation, for this question, or whatever you guys want to call it, is 1 and 1/2. So I'm going to erase everything else so I have room to do my other equation or problem. So I'm just going to keep on erasing everything. So, erasing. Okay. I just wish I could delete everything, but if I did, then the answer will get deleted too. So done. So now we're going to do our second problem. I'm going to choose a different color. I'll do this. So adding fractions, again, 9/10 plus 1/6 is our equation for now. And our first thing that we have to do is that we have to see, because again, we have a unlike denominator. And if it was a like denominator, or a common denominator, again, all you have to do is add from left to right. So say, for example, I have 6 plus 2, 3. All I have to do is add 5, and the denominator stays the same. So that will be the answer. So you know how quickly I did that. But this is going to be multi-step, because we have to find a common denominator between 10 and 6. So first we're going to start with the greater number, greater denominator and see which one of those go into 6. So 10 times 1, 10. Does that go to 6? No. 20? No. 30? Yes, because 10 times 3 is 30 and 6 times 5 is 30. So what we have to do is make these into 30, something over 30 plus something over 30. So what we have to do first is that we have to multiply 9/10 by 3 over 3, because whatever is being done to the denominator must be done to the numerator, top and bottom, and vice versa, bottom and top. So that will equal 27/30. So that's what will be over here. And now we're going to do 1/6. So 1/6 times 5 over 5 equals 5/30. And that is what we're going to be over here. All we have to do is add them. 32 over 30th. 32/30 is our final answer, but not exactly our final, because what we have to do now is that we have to try to make this a mixed number, because again, this is an improper fraction because the denominator is less than the numerator, or vice versa. The numerator is greater than the denominator. So how we do that is we do division again, but if you already know it, it's okay. I'm just going to do it anyways, even though it's just going to be 1 2/30. So now I'm going to do 32 divided by 30. 1, 30 minus 2. So that's it. So now 30 denominator stays the same. That is the numerator. I mean, not the numerator, the whole number. And this is the numerator, denominator is the same. So now you might realize that 2/30 can be simplified as well by 2 over 2. Which equals 1/15. So our final answer, our absolute final answer is 1 1/15. Imagine dividing a chocolate bar into 15 pieces and only talking about one of them. Well, you get not a whole chocolate bar and then 1/15. So it's perfectly fine. So I'm going to erase all of this. And now we're going to move on to subtracting fractions. So subtracting fractions is as easy as adding them because it's basically the same steps. Instead of adding, you subtract. So now I'm going to change colors. This time I'm going to go to the blue side. I was at pink and purple, and I'm going to go to blue and red. So I'll choose this light blue. So first, our equation is 2 over 3 minus 3 over 5. So we're going to start with the greater number and see which of them have a common denominator, because like I told you, it's easy to spot that the denominators are different. And I told you it's almost exactly like adding fractions. So that's why we have to see if 5 times 1 equals 3. Can go into 3. 5, no. 10, no. 15, yes, actually. 5 times 3 is 15. So what we're going to do is now we're going to try to make each of those fractions into a denominator with 15. So there's going to be something on the numerator over here and over there. So what we're going to do is do 2/3 times 5 over 5, because whatever, like I said before, for adding adding fractions, keep on saying adding subtractions. Okay, so for adding fractions, you have to do whatever happens to the bottom happens to the top. So that's why we're going to do this and get 10/15. So we're just going to add a 10 over here, and now do it for 3/5. So 3/5 times 3 over 3 equals 9/15. So all we have to do is add a 9 over here, and that equals 1/15. So that is it. That's our final answer for 2/3 minus 3/5 equals 1/15. So now I'm going to erase everything. Whoops. So I'm going to erase everything over here. Okay, I'm still going to need room for my other equation. It's not a lot. So now I'm going to choose my color, which is going to be red. So now we have to subtract a fraction, 6/10 from 3/8. So, let me just, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. So, what we have to do is that, again, we have to find a common denominator. So does 10 times 1 go into 8? No. 20? No. 30? No. 40? Oh yeah, 40 does go into 10 and 8. So we have to try to make it 40 minus something over 40. So first we're gonna, whoops, I went back to, so now we're subtracting fractions again. So now we're gonna do 6 over 10 times 4 over 4. Same reason, top to whatever has been done to the top must be done to the bottom. 24 over 40, so I'm just gonna add 24 over here. Do the same thing over here. 3/8 times 5, because that's what equals 40, and top and bottom. 15/40, so all we have to do is add a 15 over here. So what we have to do is do 24 minus 15, and like again, even if you know the answer, I'm just gonna do it anyways. 1, 14, 9, 0, so the answer is 9. 9/40. And again, can this be simplified? We have to see, so does 9 times 1, no, I mean, does 40 go into 9? No. Does 80 go into 9? No. And we could just like stop there because we know that none, because the numerator and denominator won't go, so it's going to be 9/40. And that is our final answer. So now I'm going to erase all of this. So I'm going to erase it all. Okay, so now that we're done, we're going to go on to mixed numbers and improper fractions now. So you might realize I got two fraction examples, and this, so I'm going to choose a different color first again. So this time I'm going to go with this rainbow. So this you might have seen before as a mixed number that I did in my previous adding and subtracting fractions. And this is a proper fraction. Really ugly circle. And all you have to do to make this an improper fraction, I mean, like, don't actually do this, but this is an example of a proper fraction, and this is an example of an improper fraction. This is an example of a mixed number. So we're going to talk about all three, most likely the 9/4 and the 3 2/5. But so improper fractions, again, are fractions with a numerator greater than the denominator, because 9 is greater than 4. So, mixed numbers. So, there are ways you can make mixed numbers into improper fractions and improper fractions into mixed numbers. So, say for example you got the fraction 9/4, and you're trying to make this a mixed number. We did this already. You have to do division, even though you know the answer. 2, it's going to be 8, 1, so 2 is the whole number, 4's denominator stays the same, 1 is going to be the numerator. So 9/4 equals 2 and 1/4. So now that we got how to do it for this, we're going to do it again as an example for this. So 3 2/5. So I never told you how to make a mixed number into an improper fraction. So how you do that is that you have to multiply the denominator with the whole number, which is 15, and add it with the numerator, which means, if I do it like this, 3, 2, and 5. You have to multiply this with this, and then with that answer, with that answer, you have to add it with this, and then that becomes your numerator, and the denominator stays the same. So 3 2/5 equals 17/5. So that is how easy it is. So that's all I'm going to tell you guys about mixed numbers and improper fractions. So because we're done with them, now we're going to go on to multiplying fractions. So first I'm going to choose a color, and I have no idea, I'll just choose this galaxy over here. And multiplying fractions is super duper easy. And even if you have unlike denominators, all you have to do is multiply straight left to right. So take this as an example. 2/7 times, you might not be able to see that. I wanna write that again. Okay, I'm just gonna erase all of that. Okay, so 2/7 times 3/5. All you have to do is multiply straight left to right. 6/35. Done. That's seriously all you need to do. 6/35. So now we have to see if we can simplify. But honestly, I don't think we can simplify this fraction anymore, and I think it's at its lowest terms because there's now a multiple of 6 that will also go into 35, or vice versa. So the answer for this is 6/35, and it's that easy. So now we're going to go on to dividing fractions. And after this, all we have to do is compare fractions, order fractions, and that's it. So now that we're at dividing fractions, I'm going to choose a different color. I think I'll choose these two, lava and oceans. So I'm going to choose lava. And so what you have to do first is that I'm going to just write it down. 5/6 divided by 1/2. So if you look at this, it's not like what you would think. You're not going to divide 5 by 1 and then 6 by 2 and then get the answer. It's actually much more different than I thought when I learned this in 3rd and 4th grade. I think it was 4th grade. So 5/6 divided by 1/2 is the same thing as 5/6 times 2/1. So 1/2 is a unit fraction because it has 1 as a numerator. And 2/1 is a whole number because, I'm going to show you. So the denominator tells you how many pieces to divide it into. So 1. So you keep it all together. And now you have to, numerator tells you how many pieces we're talking about. So 1, 2. So pretend those are equals. That is how we're going to get it. So if you guys have any questions, then again, feel free to comment them down below. And if you have any ideas for my next videos, make sure that you comment those down below too. So now all we have to do is multiply straight left to right, because you have to make the division sign a multiplication one and make the 1/2 a 2/1. So then you multiply and you get 10/6. Then you have to make that a mixed number. And again, we can do the division if you want. Otherwise, if you know the answer out of the top of your head, you can do that. So you're going to keep the denominator the same. The answer is a whole number. The remainder is a numerator. You can divide 6 by 2/2, and that will be 2/3. So that equals 1 2/3. So that is our answer over here. 1 2/3. So now that is it for dividing fractions. It is just like multiplying, because in order to divide fractions and get the answer, you have to multiply them. So now I'm going to erase everything. Okay, so now we're going to go on to our second last thing to learn about fractions, which is comparing them. So now I have two fractions over here. I'm going to choose a color. I don't know, I'm going to go to more colors. Maybe this. I don't know, maybe this green. So 1/5 over here and 8/10 over here. So now what I'm going to do is compare them. So when you're comparing, you're using either that, comma, or that. So this means blank is blank is less than, sorry, I forgot the S. So if you plug this in, it says 1/5 is less than 8/10. Now I'm going to erase that. And when you plug this in, it says 1/5 is greater than 8/10. I'm going to erase that too and put is greater than. And if you plug this in, it says 1/5 is equal to 8/10. Whoops. Is equal to. So I'm going to choose a different color. I like aqua, but I can't find a color like that. Maybe I'll choose this. So now I'm going to fill this in. I'm going to erase this one because I'm actually going to put this over here. So this is 8/10, and this is, and we're going to fill that, one of them, and this. So now that I'm going to fill in 8 out of 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to color all of the others in. 7, 7, 7, and 8. So now I got that done. Now I'm going to color in 1/5. Actually, I'll just make this more size. Okay, that was so much better. I should have done that for the other one. I'm going to change it back to normal and change the size and do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, done. Now I'm going to change this also back to normal. So now, in order to decide what should belong over here, we have to see which one is greater. So you might realize that this is obviously less than this. So, of course, we're going to put this symbol in because 1/5 is less than 8/10 because this symbol represents these words. Whoops. I'm going to erase that. Do that again. Is less than. That's what that symbol represents. So you could also, by writing this symbol, you're also writing 1/5 is less than 8/10. So now that's how you compare fractions. So now we're going to go on to ordering fractions, and this is our last one. So always like before, first I'm going to choose a color. I'm not going to choose the random colors, the basic colors anymore. I'm going to go on to these. I'm trying to look for one. This dark blue is good. I'll use this purple and I'll replace this one for this pink. Or over here, I could replace it for that. I'll just use that. Okay. So first, we're going to order these fractions, 5, 6, 2 sevenths, and 1/3 from greatest to least. So first, we have to try to find a common denominator between 5, 6, 2 sevenths, and 1/3. So I'm going to tell you guys 2 ways you can order fractions from greatest to least. You cannot miss this. Not from least to greatest, from greatest to least. So now all we have to do is find a common denominator. So we're going to start with 7 and see which one goes together. So does 7 times 1 go 7? Does it go with any of them? No. Does 14? 14 goes, no. I'm looking, again, remember, I'm looking for one that goes with all 3 of these denominators. Not only 1, not only 2. All 3 of them. So now I'm going to go on to 7 times 3, which is 21. Nope. 4, 28. Nope. Let me draw that comma like that. So now 7 times 5, 35. Whoops, that's weird. Okay, I'm gonna erase all this because it's getting slanted. I'm gonna write it with purple. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. So now 7 times 6, 42. Goes with 6, goes with 3. Yep, because 6 times 7 equals 42. And if you just switch those, which means 7 times 6 equals 42. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure 14 times 3 equals 42. 14 times 3, 12, 1, 4, 5. I mean, not 5, 4. Yep, I was right, 42. So 14 times 3 equals 42. So this is a common denominator between all of them. So now I can erase this. So now that we found our common denominator, all we have to do is make these fractions that denominator. So 5, 6, all we have to do is multiply it by 7. So 5, 6 times 7 over 7 equals 35 over 42. And now that we're done with that, we're going to go to 2 sevenths times 6 over 6 equals 12/42. And now I'll choose a different color actually. Well, okay, never mind. I'll just choose black. Black, so 1/3 times 14 over 14 equals 14 over 42. So now that we got those three done, now we're going to write those again, which means it's going to be 35/42. I'm not in order. So it's going to be 12/42. Then it's going to be 14/42. So now that you got your denominators equal, all you have to do is see which one is greater or less than using only the numerators, because it's going to be so much easier with the denominators the same. So now that's all we have to do, like I said. And 35 is the greatest, so 5, 6 is going to be first. Next is 14, so 1/3 is going to be next. Got that done. And next, obviously, it's going to be 12 over 42. And that's done. So this is the right way. So I'm going to erase everything except for that and write it as the answer. So I'm going to erase everything. Erase it, erase, erase. If I erase everything, then I'll lose the track of the numbers. Okay. So I'm going to write it in black again. 5 over 6. 1 over 3. And 12 over, not 12 over 42. Why did I write that? It was supposed to be 2 sevenths. So I wrote that wrong too. So now that I got the right answer, equals answer. So that is the first way on how to order fractions. So I'm going to erase this and pretend we don't know the answer. And now I'm going to show you guys another way. So first, now all you have to do, I'm going to choose a different color, this time one of the ordinaries. I'll do gold, silver, because those aren't really ordinary. So 5, 6, I'm going to do a bar. I'm not going to do a circle because I don't really think it's going to be equal that way. A bar. This can be gold. And this I can do silver. Oh my god, that went out of screen. So I'm going to do gold next. Okay, even though those aren't equal at all. And I'll do silver over here. Okay, so now all I have to do is divide them. So 5, 6 will be silver, so I'm going to divide it into 6 pieces because that's what the denominator tells us to do. Okay, done. Now I'm gonna divide this bar into 7 pieces. There. And I have to divide this into 3 pieces. There. So now all I have to do is fill them out and see which one's greater. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now 1, 2. And now 1. You might realize that this is over here, this is over here, and that this is over here. So that is why you might see between this much of a difference. I think so normally it's supposed to be much more of a difference. I think I drew it in the wrong way because you could see that these aren't really equal. Whoops. Well, my lines are never equal. So now we will already know, like before, we'll get the same answer, which is going to be 5 over 6, 1 over 3, 1 over 3, and 2 over 7 as our answer anyways. So these are 2 ways about how to order fractions. So now that we made it to the end of this 40-minute video, then I need to say thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like this video and make sure you share this video to all your family and friends or anybody who wants to know complete everything about fractions, or you could click the links in the description below, and share those links because those talk about each of these that I taught you guys today step by step. Like adding and subtracting one, mixed numbers and multiplying and dividing one, like that. And make sure you subscribe. And when you subscribe, you'll see a bell icon. When you click that bell icon, you'll get notified whenever I post new videos. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching again.